What's up guys, Stark here. In today's character spotlight we are taking a look at Spartacus. Now I do want to mention one thing. Yesterday I did not make a character spotlight because by the time I came home from work the maintenance was going on and it was just an unfortunate situation. So to make up for that, today I'm doing two character spotlights. So there will be one shortly following this one, but for now we are taking a look at Spartacus. So his pictures have been on the screen right now. His first three forms look really weird in my opinion. I really don't like this character design at all. And I think it's really weird that he goes from like nothing to like full armor and then he like takes the armor off in the 4th ascension. It's pretty weird. I don't really like this character that much, but we are going to look at them all, so we had to get to him eventually, so let's take a look at him right now. He is a berserker, so he will be effective against most classes and he will take double damage as well. And he is a 1-star, so he will go up to level 60, and his stats at level 60 are 5,073 attack and 7,722 HP. So he's got some pretty solid HP stats, but he has some pretty low attack stats, especially for a berserker. Even if you do grail him all the way up, he doesn't even hit 10,000 attack for his maximum. He does get really close to 14,000 HP, which is pretty nice, but for your berserker characters, you definitely want them to be dealing tons of damage, so you do want them to have more of the attack stat. But his HP stat isn't necessarily a bad thing because he does have some really nice skills that play into his HP and keeping him alive. So it could definitely be worth considering, but I don't think you should grail him at all. So moving on here to his skills, his first skill is going to be called Honor of Suffering B, which will restore HP every turn for 5 turns. So this is pretty cool. It's just a regen skill basically. 200 HP at level 1 and then 600 HP at level 10, and that does last for 5 turns. There is also a strengthening power-up quest for this that will increase the amount of HP you heal every turn, starting at 500 at level 1 and going all the way up to 1500 at level 10. And this is really nice, 1500 HP every turn for 5 turns. Definitely going to help keep this guy alive a lot longer than normal. So you can kind of see like with his HP stat being so high and then having the regen effect, it'll definitely make killing him a lot harder, but you do sacrifice a little bit of attack to keep him alive. So I don't know, it depends if you like the fair trade-off or not, but I personally like the glass cannon characters that just go in, deal tons of damage. They don't necessarily survive that long, but they get the job done quickly. Moving on here to his second skill, it's going to be called Unyielding Will A, and this will apply Guts 1 time over the course of 5 turns, and it will also increase his Noble Phantasm gauge. So this is a pretty cool Guts skill. It will revive him with 1 HP, but you can counter that with his healing, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. And he does also increase his Noble Phantasm gauge. So 10% at level 1 goes all the way up to 30% at level 10, which is really nice because even if you don't necessarily need the Guts, you can just use this skill to increase your Noble Phantasm gauge. And if you die in the course of those 5 turns, then well, you're going to come back anyway. So it's a really nice skill, honestly. Moving on here to his third and final skill, it's going to be called the Triumphant Return of the Sword B, which will increase Buster Card effectiveness for 1 turn and restore his HP. This is a self buff. And the HP gain is 1000 at level 1. He goes all the way up to 2000 at level 10. So again, this is another skill that'll keep him alive much longer. And this is definitely different for berserkers because most berserkers focus on increasing their attack, but Spartacus increases his chances of surviving by restoring his HP constantly. And then he does also have the Buster Card rate up with 20% at level 1 and then 40% at level 10, which is really nice. It is a strengthening quest though, so again, we're going to have to wait for that. Moving on here to his class skills, he has the Madness Enhancement EX, which will increase Buster Card effectiveness by 12% on this character. So naturally all your Buster Cards are going to be doing that much more damage, considering he's a berserker, he'll do even more damage. So it's pretty nice. Definitely makes up a little bit for the lack of attack, but again, if he would have just had maybe 1100-ish around there, he'd be really good stat wise. Moving on to his ascension materials, he does need quite a bit here. He needs crystals at his 2nd ascension, which is kind of rare, but it is a berserker material, so if you have better berserkers you might want to hang on to those and pass on this character for a little bit. And then for his 3rd and 4th ascension, he's going to need the homunculus babies and then some bones as well. Moving on here to his skill enhancement materials, he's a little bit more generous for his skill enhancement materials, but you do need a lot of crystals, and you need some seeds and bones as well. But he does have some really good skills, so if this is a character you want to use, you know, he does have some really nice skills, so it would probably be a good idea to go ahead and max him out. Especially his second skill, which gives the Noble Phantasm gauge increase. You definitely want to max that one if you're planning on using this character. So moving on here to his Craft Essence, it's going to unlock the Insurrection Craft Essence, which will apply Guts with 50% HP for one time while equipped to him. So this is another thing that plays into keeping this guy alive as long as possible. So you basically have 2 Guts with this character, and then you'll start with this one as long as this Craft Essence is equipped. And then he will revive with 50% HP, so you can just leave that second skill off until he dies, and then he comes back, and then you can do it that way. It kind of gets in the way though if you're using his second skill for Noble Phantasm gain, because if you use it, then the Guts will cancel out, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because you'll already have Guts on, so you don't have to worry about it. But you could get in that situation where you'd rather have the 2 Guts. But I guess it just depends on what exactly you're going against and what you're looking for in your team setup. So moving on here to his command cards and his Noble Phantasm. He does have 1 Quick, 1 Arts, and 3 Buster cards. And like I said, he is a Berserker, so he's obviously going to have a lot of Buster cards. And you do want to use him in a Buster card team. And his Noble Phantasm is also Buster. And this will deal heavy damage to all enemies that ignores defense, and then it greatly restores his HP. So again, you guys can see here he has another skill that will restore his HP. And it's a pretty huge gain, 3,000 at level 1, 7,000 at level 5. And then the damage is pretty solid as well, going up to 500% at level 5. And it does ignore defense, which is really nice. And then he has another strengthening power request that you could do to improve his Noble Phantasm, which will just deal a little bit more damage for his attack, going up to 600%, and then the heal will greatly be increased by 1,000. So 8,000%, well, not percent, that would be insane. 8,000 HP at level 5 for the improved version of his Noble Phantasm, which is really good. Even at the lower ascension, he's still going to do some pretty solid damage because he does ignore defense. So yeah, he's a pretty good servant. I just don't like him character-wise. Like, his skills are fine, his Noble Phantasm's fine. I just personally don't like the way he looks, and sometimes that's enough to make you not want to use a character. But I will eventually max him out, and he is really good, so... Well, he's pretty good, but I will eventually get to finishing him, and then maybe I'll see him in a better light once I get the final sprite for him. Anyway, some of the craft essences you can use on this character, you do primarily want to use them on Buster teams, so you want to use the Verdant Sound of Destruction for the 15% increase, or Limit 0 Over for the 25% increase for Buster cards. You could also use Kaleidoscope. I don't necessarily recommend Kaleidoscope too much because he's got so many other skills that you can utilize to keep him alive, so you don't necessarily need his Noble Phantasm for the HP gain, and you're probably going to use his Noble Phantasm on the boss for that. I don't think you could one-shot with it, but you could do some pretty solid damage to the boss wave. And by the time you get to the boss, you'll probably already have his Noble Phantasm ready because he does have skills that increase his gain. And you'll probably use him with some other supporter that does it as well. Yeah, if you're looking for like some sort of like fast burst team, you could definitely use Kaleidoscope on there. Use his Noble Phantasm on like wave 1 or wave 2 to knock it out really quickly. But I guess, like I said, it depends on what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish on your team. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up this video here. I will be posting another one shortly, and I'll be doing the new servant that just got released. I'll be doing Kintoki. So stay tuned for that, and I will leave you guys here with Spartacus' Noble Phantasm. I'll see you guys next time.